The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and think
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Sunny Florida includes many reasons to visit. World-famous amusement parks, beautiful beaches, and incredible wildlife are just a few of the reasons people flock to this state. But if you're a race car driver, you might skip over all of those for a chance to put rubber to road at Sebring International Raceway. A track that once hosted the US Formula One Grand Prix has since become renowned for its sports car racing. And today our drivers attempt to tackle this legendary circuit in their silhouette pony cars. Who will be left to enjoy the taste of victory as sweet as Florida oranges? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the iAnalyze Racing neoTransAm series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Round 8 is presented by Night Fox Designs. Night Fox Designs brings over a decade of graphic design experience to their clients. Be sure to visit their Facebook page, which can be found in the video description below. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, Sebring's probably best known for its bumps, which mostly owes itself to its origins. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the track?
Well, Joe, I can definitely tell you it's 3.7 miles around here, 17 turns, going to be 17 laps today. But Sebring International Raceway was one of the oldest venues to be used by in the SCCA Trans Am Series, with its first appearance during that inaugural season back in 1966. It disappeared from the schedule after 3 short years, until its eventual return to the schedule in 1999. And they'd use it for another 3 years until it came back again in 2011. And Sebring has continued to see usage in the SCCA Trans Am Series in 2014, 2015, and yes, this year too, in 2016. We are glad to see such a historic and challenging venue that we see here with Trans Am Racing in recent years. It wouldn't be a proper tribute to Trans Am Racing without this unique circuit. But let's take a quick trip around in the GSRC Silhouette Pony Car for a ride around Sebring Speedway.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Camaro, so let's do a lap around Sebring. Coming down to turn 1, the bumps and fast entry are going to make this a tricky corner all day. I'm sure we'll see cars attempting passes here, but side by side will definitely require some serious trust between competitors. As you exit the turn, be sure not to dip your wheels into the dirt, then get ready to line up the braking for turn 3. The curbs on the inside of this left-hander do not play nice with the car, so expect a few greedy drivers to get knocked out of shape and lose time. This dumps us immediately into the turn 4-5 complex. 5 really requires a late apex, and patient drivers will be the one to reap the rewards around Big Bend. It's flat out around this sweeper, even in this big heavy stock car, so getting on the gas early will give you a better run up to the hairpin. The farther alongside or even past your rival you can be, the easier it will be to complete the pass. And honestly, trying to outbrake your opponent into this turn can so easily go wrong by coming in too hot and plowing into the traffic ahead of you. Now we exit into turns 8 and 9. This quick set of S's don't require any braking or lifting, but your line will be crucial to the setup into Cunningham. This 90-degree turn is very popular for making passes, but you can see the difficulty in slowing down with the wheel hop Amjad gets. From there, you'll have to feather the throttle on your way through Collier. Then you've got to deal with the curved braking zone of Tower. The fast line into here is razor thin. Too far to the left and you'll touch the grass and spin. Too far to the right and you'll clobber the curb and unsettle the car. Once you got the power down on exit, you gotta switch sides for the proper line into Bishop. It's a double apexer that you can't quite take flat out. Hold to the left after the second apex and throw out the anchor for Jean Dembien. The important thing in this right-left sequence is to hold as far left as you can go for the best entry into Le Mans. This is perhaps the most important corner on the track, with it dumping the car onto the Ullman straight. Carrying your speed onto this backstretch can make or break lap times, as well as offer a chance to attack or defend. So much of the action on track relies on the momentum you took onto Ullman. The braking at the end will make things rather interesting though. The entry to Sunset has a little kink, meaning those skilled in trail braking will be able to chop big chunks out of their lap time. But the bumps through this hairpin are diabolical, and finding any sort of traction is maddening. Drivers will be ultra focused on keeping the car from swapping ends, but as we come out of the final corner, we cross the start-finish line to complete our lap around Sebring. So you can see just how difficult it is to keep this car pointed forward around this track. Well, my French name pronunciation notwithstanding, let's go to the Drivers' Championship and see where we stand there. Christian Challoner, no surprise, he's up at the top. He usually dominates his series. Well, he's got some competition. Look at that, only 15 points back for Eric Blix because Christian had to miss the last round due to them not having enough marshals, and Christian gracefully bowed out of the driver's seat and stepped aside so that we could have a marshal for the race. Justin Krutoff in third. He's 27 points back. He is in a very close battle with Sven Kammertz for that podium position. And then a little farther back, you've got Martin Kapal, who just creeps up into the top 5. Now, they also have a team championship in this series, and I believe they are 2-car teams, if I'm not mistaken. What are we looking like over there?
Well, here's what we're looking at right now, and that's Justin Krutoff Racing sitting atop the points now, and that's him and Daniel Thompson. So Justin looking for more than just the Drivers' Championship here. It's important to the team also. Lempels Racing up 1 to 2nd, 65 points back. That's Eric Blixt and Martin Capal, and then Blackadder. Christian happened to be out that last race. That's going to put them 2 down. Down there in 3rd with Sven Cameras, 95 points back. Blackadder Oval, Sam Harris and Joshua Mertz, 158 points back in 4th. With 1 race to go, Bush Freak Racing Blue, Mika Eshouse and James King back there, 211 points. Going to have a lot of work to do to get ahead of Sam Harris and Joshua Mertz. Going to maybe hope for a little help today, Joe. What about the road versus oval?
Absolutely. And for those not familiar with the road versus oval championship of this series, basically what they do is at the start of the season, drivers declare which team they are driving for, road or oval, and then the top 2 finishers of each team in each round have their points average. That is the score for that round for each team. So far, now that they're just starting round 8, you can see road has just eked out oval. I believe they were a point behind or a point ahead last round. I can't remember exactly just off the top of my head, but it's been extremely tight all season long. Still only 5 between them with 7 rounds already gone. So this is a very tight championship. I expect this one to come down to the final race of the year. There's also another award that these guys are fighting for, the Hard Charger Award. With each round, iAnalyze Racing gives a 6-month subscription to the Hard Charger of the race. The award is given to a non-podium finisher who put on the best show either through the greatest positive change in position or the most impressive drive to maintain consistent position. The iAnalyze Racing Hard Charger Award in round 7 was Justin Krutoff. Now, we also can give you, as John Medeiros has a bit of trouble in qualifying there, we also give you an onboard view of a few of these drivers throughout the race, or rather the drivers themselves give you the view. And Sean, who are you looking at these guys being able to go and check out if they want to?
Today they can check out Josh Mertz and Sam Harris from Blackadder Motorsports today. They've got a stream up, and Torque Freak Racing's Bram Reiners has got a stream up also. Those details are right there on the YouTube description. Check them out. You want a different view from the cockpit? That's a good way to watch it.
Now, this track is a fairly long lap, so there's going to be some passing zones, especially with the long straights. Sean, from your experience practicing with the guys, where do you think they're most likely to try to send one up the inside?
Well, the trip down to turn 1 is always a mad scramble. You get yourself out of Sunset, the end of the track there, and across the start-finish line. There's a couple of different really good lines you can take in there. You'll see side by side, maybe even 3 and 4 wide. There's a lot of runoff there in that left-hander. But really, the next really good opportunity is going to be the scramble down to turn 3. You want to take advantage of that left-hander. So the race starts with 2 really good left-handers that are advantages for some possible passing. Then the hairpin, once you get out of Big Bend and you get that big, long run down into the hairpin, about halfway into the course, that's turn 7. You got to get that to first gear, got to get the car really slow there. You're going to see people overshoot that turn. It's real easy to miss that braking zone there. I had trouble with it yesterday in practice. You'll see a lot of dirt probably get up on the track there too. It'll be tricky. Now Cunningham, when you get down to the more just the back of the course, that's going to be another good opportunity. But really, the Ullman Straight. Now, this car does draft pretty well. We'll see some opportunity there on the back straight, Ullman Straight, down into Sunset Bend. Sunset Bend it's the best and the worst of both worlds. It can be a great passing opportunity, or it can be the end of your race, Joe. How you get into that turn and how you get off it, even more important to get yourself back up the front straight, back to turn 1.
Absolutely, and I even have that in my notes that Sunset is one of the more dangerous places of this track. I've always had trouble getting the power down in cars that lack downforce. few other spots that I would watch out for. Definitely turn 1 is known for its troubles, especially on the first lap. Collier is very, very narrow. It's on the backside of the course just after Cunningham. There's not a lot of runoff. The drivers will have to be putting the power down and steering, and the curbs are very tall. And of course, that leads right into Tower with its difficult curved braking zone that can catch a number of drivers out. Now, for those not familiar with the series, we have the race details. And Sean, what are these guys looking at facing today?
Well, okay, so we run the what they call the big class stock car. We call them the Silhouette Pony cars here in the neoTransAm series. It is an open setup, maximum fuel, 4-lap lone qualifying effort, 17 laps today or 60 minutes. They are bad fast around here. I don't think we have to worry about time today. If there are any restarts, we have to throw that yellow. It'll be single file, deep field today, so that'll be something to watch as well. Hard to pick up spots when you got to start single file like that. No fast repairs. You better be careful with the car today. You don't want to run off and hit one of these walls or make contact with anybody because it could end your day. 21 incident cap. The weather today is 79 degrees, 11 miles an hour wind.
And apologies for a couple technical issues for Sean's mic. We'll try and get that sorted out. But yes, 79 degrees. Little bit of wind, actually. 11 miles per hour from the north. I wonder if that's going to affect the handling on a few entry of corners. And then, of course, 37% humidity out there today. Partly cloudy, so should be at least a little bit grippy. And track temperature, a nice cool 86 degrees. Guys should have an easy time. Now, we understand we're missing a driver today. David Fish is not out there, but he has a very special reason. Apparently, it's his 22nd wedding anniversary with Lisa Marie. So, to Lisa Marie, or to Mrs. Fish and Mr. Fish, go enjoy each other and celebrate 22 years together. Hopefully very happy years. We wish you guys the best. Now, also, there's some penalties today that we need to worry about. Burnett and Gruber will be starting from the pit lane due to contact from last round. They are penalized for what the marshals have deemed avoidable contact. And of course, Sven Kammertz is a late entry. He is going to be starting from the rear of the field today. Sean, I don't know about you, but I kind of expect attrition to play a bit of a role in this race with how tough this track is.
Yeah, I really think that could be a factor today, Joe. Again, it's very, very tricky track and a lot of speed to be carried here. I think the real challenging sections of this track are really on the backside. You talk about Collier and getting around Tower and managing the speed and the turns down the backside here through Bishop and into 15 and the right-hander at Lamar there sitting up for Holman Straight. That's a very, very tricky part of the track where the car wants to slide around a lot, and you're going to see people trying to make a pass. It may not work out there.
And hopefully the tornado that's blowing around the antenna above Sean's house will calm down in just a little bit. Now, one driver that I think is definitely looking strong, at least he was in practice, was Sven Kammertz. He's going to have, obviously, since he's going to be coming, or no, not Kammertz, Krutov. Excuse me, I was looking at the wrong note. Krutov was the best in Saturday practice by some margin, half a second faster than second place in practice. And it looks like qualifying is over, so let's see where he wound up in the order. Eric Blixt is going to be your pole sitter, looking very good today, bringing the challenge to Christian Challenger. He sits in second and at least half a second back himself. So maybe Eric Blixt has the speed on him. Martin Gopal, he's going to be starting in third. Then on the outside of the second row, it'll be Mika Eshouse. Justin Krutov, he'll be starting within the top 5. Maybe he can do something with that speed he found in practice. Maybe the conditions are different enough today that he won't be able to perform as well. We'll see. David Barraclaw, he's going to be starting in 6th. Then the inside of the 4th row, it'll be Daniel Thompson. Clifton Cockrell will be starting in 8th behind him, with Bram Reiner starting in 9th, and Dustin Wardlow, Sean, rounding out our top 10.
All right, so and then
Oh, and it sounds like that tornado hasn't given up quite yet. So 11th will be John Medeiros with Josh Mertz in 12th. Scott Johnson in 13th. Sven Kammertz did not put in a lap time, obviously, because he was required to start from the back of the field. He'd be in 14th. James King in 15th. Carl Jansen in 16th. Ben Burnett in 17th. And then rounding out the final row, it's Doug White in 18th and Justin Sullivan in 19th. As Sean tries to sort out his issues, we're looking at that beautiful field down on the legendary Sebring International Raceway with the sunset actually over Sunset Bend right now. Nice orange glow coming over the track. And it's going to be quite a long pace lap around this place. It's about 2.5 minutes just to get your car around at racing speed. So these guys will have some time to contemplate their start, figure out how they want to be. Do they want to be aggressive into that first turn? It is certainly known as they start to take off on the pace lap, and that gold-plated Mustang works his way around the circuit. Down into this first turn, a lot of bumps into this corner. Going side by side can tend to go very badly if you start to get loose and you have someone on the outside, no room to save it. We'll see if anybody runs into that trouble today. Usually our top guys are very good at racing close, especially Blixt and Challoner. I'm very curious to see what Blixt is going to have for him, since he's somehow found the pace over Challoner. This is very unusual for this series. If you're new to this series, well, first of all, welcome. Especially to all of our viewers on iRacing Live. If you're new to the series, Challoner has been dominating both last season in the V8 Super Trucks. They did a slightly different series last season, and then they've switched over to the iAnalyze Racing neoTransAm series. And today they are going to be running these pony cars around this very famous sports car racing track. Now, once again, we want to give a special shout out to today's sponsor, Night Fox Graphic Design. Or Night Fox Designs, rather. Maybe I'll have to get my wife in touch with them. She's actually a graphic designer herself. I'm going to be looking for work soon, so could be some contacts there I need to get her in touch with. Also, of course, thank you to iAnalyze Racing for sponsoring the series itself. Now heading their way out of the hairpin through I almost said Fagnes. I believe that's actually the corner over in Spa. Now up into Collier. As we said, a spot where you're going to have to watch out for passes. Very easy to outbrake yourself down into that corner. And this is what I mentioned earlier. Through Collier, look at how close the barriers are. Either side. Drivers are going to be trying to carry as much speed as they can through there, and then down into the very difficult braking of Tower, where that inside curb is just diabolical. I know in just about every car I've driven this track in, I try and keep that wheel just off that curb, or else it bounces it all over the place. And then a beautiful wide blimp shot. Here we go through Bishop. Cars are going to have to lift through here. Most modern cars are just flat out, but with the heavy stock cars going through that fast double left-hander, just can't stay with the foot to the floor. And then, of course, to the braking for Jean Debien, which I've discovered recently I've been pronouncing wrong for about 3 years now. So it is not Kindebine, it is Jean Debien, apparently a Belgian driver, sports car driver. Did a bit of Formula One, I believe for Ferrari, if I read correctly. And then switched over to sports cars with a fantastic career over in the tin tops. And then down the long Ullman Straight we go, up towards Sunset. This kink into Sunset, I think, is going to provide some interesting scenarios if the draft is as powerful as Sean says. If anybody tries to go side by side through there, I certainly expect some fireworks, unless they have a lot of trust and a lot of car control. Under the bridge they go. The pace car is going to get ready to peel off, and then we're going to go racing for 17 laps here in the iAnalyze Racing neoTransAm series. There goes the pace car. Blixt has control. The green flag waves, and now they accelerate. And a terrible start for the number one. Christian Challoner gets overtaken right at the start. This is not what he wants. He tries to be aggressive around the outside. We get a few cars going 3 wide, almost 4 wide through turn 1. Are we going to get anybody off in the dirt? It looks like Barraclaw has to check up to keep it together. Nobody gets into each other, and they're all clean down into turn 3. Around that sharp left-hander, once again, everybody's sorting themselves out. I see no contact so far. And Christian Challenger, despite a slow start, was able to work his way around the outside of Kapal and take that second position back. But look at Eric Blix starting to already stretch himself away down into the hairpin. Very popular place to take a pass. We got a few cars side by side. A battle a little farther back. Clifton Cockrell, we know he's a aggressive driver, managed to overtake Sven Kemmerts. Meanwhile, everybody looking very good on this first lap. I think everybody aware of the difficulty of this track, but man, Christian Challenger, as we look at the front, once again closes up on the back of Eric Blix. I'm not sure if they made contact there, but it was very close. We're going to go on board Kapal in the popcorn position. Now they swing around Bishop. Very tricky, very fast in these cars. Get the cars woed up for Jean Dambien. Not a very good first half of that corner for Eric Blix. He was a little bit slow, but there's no opportunity for Challenger. He's got to focus on this corner. Meanwhile, let's jump back to 7th. And it looks like actually Bram Reiners was able to get himself a great launch off of the corner. Oh, and Medeiros actually had an off. I missed that. Looks like he has slipped down to 13th. Meanwhile, to Kammerts, he is being hassled by Clifton Cockrell, who overtook him earlier, but he got the position back, and coming out of the corner, Cockrell has no answer, as you can move Kammerts back up into 9th. Oh, and Medeiros is having a bad start to this race. Let's get a replay, as Carl Jansen has actually come into the pits. Let's look at the replay. This was coming through Sunset Bend. Oh, looks like the bumps take another victim, as that 85 just gets a tank slapper, cannot recover, and he actually has a pretty hard hit into the pit entry. There we see Jansen in his pit stall. I'm not sure if he had any damage or if this is a scheduled stop. He's taking tires. Meanwhile, we switch back up front. Challenger still putting the pressure on for the number 89. Blix is his closest competitor in the championship. In fact, the gap between the two, we said at the top of the hour, 15 points. So this is very important. Let's look at Challenger really struggling to get the power down. Making their way into tower. This is where Challenger gave him a little bit of a hello before. Both of them looking nice and tidy through that corner. In fact, Challenger probably with this slightly better exit. I'm not sure if he's going to have an opportunity down into Jean Dambien unless he really breaks late. And it's a little early to be that aggressive. The number 1 does indeed stay in line. Whoa, big slide behind them as Mika Eshouse struggling to keep the car together, but he keeps it pointed forward. And that is going to hurt him, probably making those tires a little bit angry. Putting him into the clutches of Justin Krutov. He started in 5th. He's still in 5th. But remember, fastest driver in practice. Could be a challenger later on in this race. This is perhaps our closest battle right now. About half a second between Krutov and Eshouse. Just kind of stalking him, eyeing up. He probably saw that slide, knows that he's struggling with the car, and with 15 laps to go, that is not what you want. You want to get that car settled down and get in a rhythm. He's slow through turn 1 as Krutov lessens the gap once more, down into turn 3. Takes quite a bit of curb. Let's go to 7th, though. Whoa, a 3-wide situation down into turn 3. And it looks like Thompson comes out the best of those. My goodness, as Bram Reiners is stuck around the outside, goes into the dirt. And he's going to lose multiple positions. Kammerts gets by, Cockrell gets by. And coming up behind him, Dustin Wardlow has a great run. He's going to have to go around the outside. Is the number 31 going to be able to get it done? He gets on the binders, but he's not quite past, and he gives up the apex. Meanwhile, ahead of them, terrible exit. coming from Daniel Thompson. Sven Kammert streams around the outside quite easily, and he takes that 7th position. Another one under threat for Thompson as Clifton Cockrell tries to outbreak him around the outside, looking very strong down into Cunningham. It's going to switch back. He's got the inside. He's not quite brave enough and has to back out of it. Great racing from this mid-pack here. These guys are fighting tooth and nail for every single position, and Cockrell once again cannot get the power down. But Bram Reiners has no answer for him. He's stuck behind that blue number 27. This is still the best battle on track. We're not missing anything up front. If those guys get closer, we'll switch up to them. Cockrell takes a decent run through the corner. Reiners was trying to square it off, but it backfires on him. Can't quite get the acceleration he needs, and they're all going to stay single file down the Ullman Straight. I'll tell you what, though, as we ride on board Wardlow, Sven Kammert's really came out the best of these guys. He is really increasing his gap ahead of this pack. Meanwhile, battle going on between Wardlow and Reiner side by side through Sunset Bend. Reiner's on the outside, uses that momentum to really get himself good position down into turn 1. I think he's going to be able to keep and hold on to it. Yes, he does. Slots into line. Just ahead of them, Daniel Thompson. I'm not sure that he was going to get a good exit, but he looks like he holds position ahead of Cockrell. These 4 all coming back together once again. That's Wardlow at the tail of the train, Brem Reiners in the number 208, Clifton Cockrell in 9th, and then 8th at the lead of this 4-car train is Daniel Thompson. Looks like Christian Challoner is able to start to decrease the gap up at the front. It's now down to 3/10. It was half a second before, about a lap and a half ago. Eric Blick still looking cool, calm, and collected, though. A little bit of smoke from one of them down into the corner, but wow, a bad exit from Blixt allows Challoner to really get up on the back of him. Although it looks like Reiners had a bit of a problem. Oh, and Josh Mertz also having a problem. Let's look at the replay here. Oh, it looks like coming out of the hairpin. Oh, this is an unusual spot. I've never seen a car lose traction there. He must have maybe taken a bump just wrong, spun it, didn't hit anything. There was nobody around. Thankfully, it gets it going yet again. Meanwhile, let's go back up to the front because Challoner must have made a mistake somewhere along the line. He's now dropped to over a second back. I'm looking. Challoner got a slowdown penalty through Jean Dambienne. And he is going to lose another position, potentially. Martin Capal taking a peek. But now, finally, he can get back on the power. Oh, and we're hearing some information from John Medeiros. Apparently, he had hardware problems. That could explain why he lost it coming out of Sunset Bend. He has not come back onto track, unfortunately. Oh no! Justin Sullivan into Sunset Bend. Absolutely T-boned. Let's see how that started to unfold. It looks like Justin started to spin around on his own. There's nobody around him, loses the tail, but what happens behind him? He backs it up, and poor Josh Mertz locks him up. Oh no. Let's watch the onboard from Mertz. I thought he would have been able to avoid it, but he may have just gone in a little too hot. Here we're riding on his nose. And he starts to see him spin, sees him in the middle of the track. Maybe he thought he could go to the outside, and with him backing the car up, he just T-boned that car. That was a terribly hard hit between those two, and they are both in the pits getting repairs, unfortunately. Oh, excuse me, no, Josh Mertz, we can see, still out on track in 16th. Sullivan has taken his car in for repairs, unfortunately. So nothing has changed up front. Eric Blick still leading. However, he's got 2 seconds now over Christian Challoner. This is the best opportunity we've seen with both of them on track for Blix to beat him on raw pace. And you can see our order as we run down the line. On the Ullman Straight is Blixton first, Challoner second, Kapal third. Krutov now up into fourth. Has worked his way forward a little bit. David Barraclaw now down in fifth in the 555. Those top five looking very calm. They've all got themselves just a piece of track. Now what's interesting is Mika Asshouse is not having as good of a day as we're used to seeing. He tends to be a podium contender, but down in sixth, he's almost 3 seconds back from David Barraclaw. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to contend for a podium unless we get a caution or maybe some tragic happenings for their top guys. Now, John Medeiros, we heard over the radio, got his steering back. Apparently it was his wheel that was having a malfunction. They would see Dustin Wardlow in ninth, trying to chase down Clifton Cockrell, about half a second between those two right now as they head into the hairpin. Wardlow looking a little bit more tidy. Coming around that apex doesn't quite help him coming out of the corner. Both of them managing to avoid the problems that Josh Mertz had through that corner number 8. Behind them, we're getting just flashes of James King trying to hold off Daniel Thompson. Whoa. Number 42 having some big problems, or no, excuse me, the 23 having problems coming through Collier. That has allowed Daniel Thompson to get right up on the back of him, but can't get the power down. Out of tower, number 23 starts to streak away. We ride on the hood of Daniel Thompson. Oh, but third, what's happening in third? Martin Kapal is losing a position. Looks like Justin Krutov has been able to take advantage of some sort of mistake as he comes down into Sunset Bend. Move Krutov up into P3. I'm going to go back and look, see what happened. Oh, I think it was a slowdown. Looks like once again Jean Dembien biting another driver. That was not a place I expect to be a lot of trouble. Oh, excuse me, no, it wasn't a slowdown. He was just wide through Le Mans. Here we're getting the replay. He was wide through Le Mans. The absolute worst place to lose your momentum. Look at that number 92. And he just overtakes him with ease. So we come back live. Martin Kapal has not given up. He is still all over the back of Krutov. But boy, we had picked Justin to be a strong driver today, and he's gone from 5th to 3rd, and we still have 11 laps to go. Relatively clean racing. We've seen a few hard hits from drivers, very few multiple color incidents, so we haven't seen a caution yet. Commentator's curse notwithstanding. A lot of drivers very close in the back of the field as everybody up at the front is starting to separate themselves. Here we're looking at Cockrell, who's trying to hold off Sven Kammertz. Kammertz has been one of the movers today. He started the race farther back because of a penalty, 14th on the grid, and he's all the way up into 7th. Really putting the pressure on to Clifton Cockrell. Excuse me, no, that's Dustin Wardlow that's putting the pressure on him. Kammertz is up ahead of them, in fact, by some margin, about 8 seconds ahead. And for fans of Sean Ambrose, he's doing his best to get back and join us. He's still working on those gremlins. The tornado seems to have cleared out, but unfortunately his antenna is on the ground, so he's got some duct tape out and he's trying his best to get that thing back attached. Meanwhile, we've switched up to Reiners. Oh, and instead let's go to the front because Christian Challoner has cut that lead down. It's under a second up to the number 89 of Blixt. Boy, you just cannot discount Christian Challoner. We've seen him fight through the field a couple times when he gambled on strategy to take new tires. This time it's not the case. It's just that he has been stuck in second most of the race. That number 1 is trying his best to get with him. Behind them, the battle for the final podium position is very tight. The 92 pressurizing the number 46. They're coming down to the hairpin. He's a bit far back. He's going to have to take a wild dive. He's just going to stay in line. Kapal sizing him up, seeing what he can do, looking for a good run off the corner, and he is very tight to the rear spoiler of Krutov. A little bit farther back, fifth is under threat. Mika Eschhaus finally has the legs under him. He's caught up to David Bearclaw. They work their way through Cunningham. Now Collier. Very shallow entry for the 555, which has allowed Mika to get closer to him still. Now down in the tower. Both of them right to the apex, but still Mika Eschhaus looking stronger. Must have got a better setup under braking to really be able to close in. They work their way through Jean Dambien, a little bit wide for David Bearclaw, but unfortunately Mika has nowhere to go, has to get on the binders. Much better on entry into the corner every single time for Mika Eschhaus. The number 237, unfortunately, is finding his momentum balked at every corner, and he's going to lose a little bit of time down the Ullman Straight. Still, he's within 4/10, which is about the same as what our lead battle is right now. I'm keeping half an eye on it just to see if that starts to erupt. But right now, David Bearclaw a little wide coming through Sunset Bend. Mika Eschhaus right on the back of him. He's looking for the draft. Bearclaw stays to the inside. He defends down into turn one. Are we going to go too wide? Mika might be able to go for the over-under, but he knows he's stronger into the corner. He's going to try and power his way around the outside, but he runs out of track. And David Bearclaw still defends, still side by side, down into turn three. Mika still trying to work his way around the outside for the second time. Both of them squirming under power, and now he's got him as he shuts the door. Mika Eschhaus finally gets himself into the top five, and what a battle. Well, now that that's sorted itself out, let's go back to Challoner, the number one in P2. He's lost a little bit of time, and I think that came just now as we've joined him. Coming out of the hairpin, he's back up to a second. He was within 4/10. I think something has happened to Eric Blix this season. Before, he was always just trailing Christian Challoner in second in most of the races, and now he has been leading the way, and in fact has been keeping Christian Challoner at bay this entire race. Eric Blix has found something special. He's either found a better setup or something. I'm not sure if he's got a team helping him out, but right now, Eric Blix has been on fire. He goes a little bit wide through Jean Dambien, but no harm, no foul. Still about 6/10 between himself and Challoner. Not missing anything for that battle between Eschhaus and Bearclaw. They're still about 3/10 apart. So Bearclaw's keeping him in check, but this battle for the lead. Oh, and just as I say that, Bearclaw gets a great exit coming out of the final corner. Tries to get that little bit of draft. Just behind them, we can see Sven Kammer starting to close. Bearclaw trying for the over-under, goes a little bit wide on entry, cuts back under, and I think this might work out for him. He gets a fantastic run. They're going to be side by side, but it's the reverse of last time. This time it's Mika Eschhaus on the inside, but we know that Mika is good on the brakes. I think this is going to be his corner. Another over-under from David Bearclaw. He gets his momentum ruined. So Mika stays ahead. He comes back to the line, down into turn three. Oh, big bobble coming from the 237. But just as these guys are battling, Mika actually gets a good exit, so I think we can jump away because Justin Krutov is under threat from Martin Kapal. Looks like a good exit coming out of turn 7 is going to give Krutov the advantage. Kapal is held at bay once again. A lot of fights to keep track of. These guys are just caught up in pairs all around the track. As we ride on board with Kapal down into tower. getting very close, but I think he took just too much curb, and you can see the damage that it does as he bounces the car off of those blue and white curbs. He loses time, and that's going to give Justin Krutov just a little bit of a breather. Meanwhile, let's go back up to the lead, because that has gotten extremely tight. Only 2/10 between Challenger and Blix now as they work their way down the Element Straight. The accordion effect is going to stretch them apart just a little bit, but they're still 2/10 apart, now 3/10 apart. Breaking down into Sunset Bend, what can Christian Challenger do? We've seen him close a couple times, but never been able to make an attempt at a pass. We're now 8 laps to go. We haven't even talked about how these tires are going to hold up throughout this race. It is a cool track today, but these guys have been fighting hard. Without Sean here, unfortunately, I don't have that information. He's usually the one that does a lot of practice laps with these guys, really knows how long they can go on a tire stint. Challenger still very close behind Eric Blix. We need to stay with this battle in case something happens here. That number 1 now is trying to see if he can get in the head of Eric Blix. The Scandinavian driver has been a cool cucumber, trying to hold off the driver from the UK&I club. Not going to call him British just in case he is from Ireland. But the number 1 just waiting patiently. He's been pushing. He's been having to use everything he can to hold on to the back of the number 89. Hasn't had an opportunity, but now that he's back there, he hasn't been making wild dives. He's just been watching and waiting, seeing what he can do. Down in the tower, looking very good on the brakes for the number 1. I almost wonder if, at this point, Christian is hunting him. He's got a great run off the corner. He's going to try and stick a nose in through Bishop. We haven't seen anybody too wide yet on camera, but this time it looks like Challenger is going to think the better of it. Still, he tries around the outside and he loses time. We understand that Krutov might be having some problems. Was this an incident? I see he's disconnected. Oh, and it looks like it is a connection problem for Justin Krutov. He just disappeared on my end without hitting anything. That's going to move Martin Kapal up into 3rd as Krutov moves his way down the order on the timing and scoring. That's unfortunate after he was having such a strong race. And that was our closest battle. Sounds like we might have Sean back. Sean, have you got the duct tape with the antenna all worked out? Is it back in working order?
Yeah, I think so. I also put on a foil helmet, Joe. I'm hoping that might help too, improve the conditions here. Sorry about that, but while I've been away, we've had a heck of a race on hand. Eric Blix doing a pretty good job up there, wheeling it, keeping it away from Christian Challenger right now.
Oh, and we've got our first takers on green flag pit stops, James King. And while Sean has borrowed some of the attire from Bill Soup Zahn, I guess he's got one of his hats on. The number 23 has come into his stall. And Sean, I was wanting to ask you a little bit earlier, what's the tire life like out here?
Well, the track's greasy, period. So the tires are going to match the condition of the track. They're going to get really slick and they're going to wear off, and you're going to want them if you come in. It's 17 laps, though. Not a very long race. So it's a gamble, but I can tell you at the end of about 8 laps, for me, it was just it was a real tough thing to handle.
Now, unfortunately, I did not see where James King was before he came in, but he comes out in 13th position. He's still on the lead lap. We'll see how many laps he can make up. And the other thing that's going to be interesting about this is we haven't had a caution yet. We could still see one in these final 6 laps, although they're running out of time to be able to throw one. And that could bunch them up and put James King in a very good position. Let's head back up front. The gap between Challenger and Blix now down to about 4/10. And Sean, I don't know how much you've been able to keep an eye on it as you work down that antenna, but Challoner has just been hounding Blixt for this whole race, but cannot find a way by.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's had many opportunities. Blixt has been really solid. A shame Krutov had the problems he did. Certainly needed a good run today to secure that championship for the team. And Blixt has been the man, though, and Challoner, again, just not finding a real opportunity.
Keeps reeling him in, and every time he gets close, we've seen a couple peaks now. He took a look into Bishop, which surprised me, but he did back out of it. Look at him get right up as we ride on the gearbox of Eric Blixt. We got a nice view of Christian Challoner's #1 machine. We understand another driver has come in for a stop.
Yeah,
Wardlow.
Dustin Wardlow is in, Joe.
All right, so a few drivers thinking it's worth these last laps to take some tires. This is a real gamble. They're not going to have a lot of time to make that up.
Not really. They are running out of it quick. I said in the pre-race they had 60 minutes. They weren't going to need all 60 minutes to get this one done.
And speaking of tires, that #1 definitely had a wiggle coming out of Tower Corner. Oh, but look at him close through Jean Dambienne. A little bit wide for Blixt. And now he's right on top of him. Once again, just can't seem to set up these corners to get himself the best run. Going to stretch out, but still only 2/10 between our leaders. This time by going to be 4 to go.
Oh,
a little bit wide for Blixt. Challoner looks to the inside, doesn't need invited twice. One smooth move, and Challoner is through.
And Challoner took that line right up against the wall there on the inside. That's the way I like to take it, nice and tight.
Oh, here he comes
gonna
again.
Fight back.
Blixt takes a look, but there is nothing doing there. Challoner shuts the door. Wow. We were waiting that whole time. I thought it would take longer than that for the pass, but Challoner decisive and using an opportunity when it shows itself. Blixt is not going to be happy with himself. I have a feeling that number 89 is going to be fighting back. He's holding on to him. He's dropping back to about half a second right now. And these guys have 10 seconds over Martin Capal, so there is no worry. They can fight it out for these final laps, and I don't think they are going to be caught.
Yeah, and Eric had done such a good job of holding them off for so long. But one small mistake is all it took there.
All right, fans of James King wondering if his strategy is going to work out. He's gone from 13th to 11th. However, he's got 20 seconds up to Ben Burnett. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to gain any more. Woo! King obviously leaning on those tires.
Yeah, a little Tokyo drift there coming out of Sunset. He's able to catch it.
Not what you want to do in a bumpy corner like Sunset. But the number 23 is able to continue on. Oh, wow. Wow, let's go to the lead, because I think we are seeing the true pace of Christian Challoner. 2-second gap in less than a lap between Christian and Eric. You think he was held up a little bit there?
or sandbagging, one or the other.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought for sure they were even on pace. Man. Wonder if maybe Christian held onto his tires a little bit better?
That's certainly possible. He wasn't... He was chasing, but was he chasing too hard? Apparently not, because he now has a lot more speed than Eric does.
Unless we see a mistake from Christian, I think we might see this thing done. Christian has made the pass and said goodbye, and he's not looking back at all. 3 laps to go. If you're just joining us, it's been a race-long battle between this man, Christian Challoner, and the man behind him, Eric Blixt, in first and second. But it is a battle no more, and Christian Challoner starting to streak away. Martin Capal, let's give him a little bit more screen time. Remember, he was in a battle with Justin Krutov earlier on, both of them wanting that podium position, but unfortunately, a connection problem for Krutov has left Kapal all by his lonesome. And you can see there's Krutov 2 laps down. It's unfortunate to see. He was having such a good race.
Oh, you talked about Kapal and the job he's done. What he's done is keep Mika Eshouse away from catching him. A great job by Kapal to stay up here in a podium spot right now. Still got a couple laps left here to get it done, though, Joe. Anything could happen.
Yeah, and you have to give credit to Mika. Remember, he was in 6th and he was struggling before. He's worked his way up to 4th, which is where he started. So he hasn't gained or lost, but we got a battle on screen for 7th. Very good battle. Clifton Cockrell, Daniel Thompson. These two have been fighting earlier on in the race. Clifton looking a little bit defensive down into Cunningham. I think he's a little wide, though. Going to be an opportunity to go side by side through Collier. Advantage goes to Clifton Cockrell. Daniel Thompson, he's being very brave, but not brave enough down into Tower.
Yeah, and Thompson almost loses it. He gets some of that curve on the right side, got the car upset. He had to get it settled again and loses a little bit of ground out of Cockrell. But that's just not the place I want to see side by side there.
And you know, Mika has me wondering. I know on the oval side, these cars tend to reward you if you take it easy earlier on. Do these tires behave the same on a road course? You just take it easy and they can come back to the 4 later?
Not so much, because on these road courses, your braking zones and obviously this track not having a lot of banking, if any at all, it's just tough on the tires constantly. There isn't much of a break.
So I'm guessing if you set it up, you want it to be, as we come back to this battle, because Thompson is not giving up, I'm guessing you want it to be set up to be fast at the start of the run then for these road courses.
Yeah, definitely. You want to get off fast, get to a good start, and get into your race, and just develop a rhythm at that point, and hopefully the rhythm carries you to the end. But Cockrell putting up a good fight. Daniel Thompson really pressing the issue.
Thompson seems like he's moving to the rhythm of the rhyme right now.
Yeah, and they've reeled in Sven Kamratz.
That was very quick. Kamratz was quite a ways in front of them not too long ago. Wonder if Kamratz had a problem in that number 30. He's currently in 6th, but now we got a 3-way battle coming on. Here comes Thompson, looking a little bit stronger under the brakes. Cockrell knows it. He goes defensive down to the hairpin. Both of them getting backed up. And a huge shunt into the back of Cockrell from Thompson.
Oh boy, Sven is all out of shape.
Man, it must be tough getting the power down out of that corner. Great job by Cockrell. He's not going to sit around. A little bit of an over and under attempt from Kamratz, but nothing doing. Boy, move Cockrell up into 6th.
Wow, what a job by Clifton Cockrell, having a heck of a run.
Yeah, from going under threat to lose a position to gaining one. And in fact, Kamratz is going to go down yet another position. Something must be running with that car as he almost gets tangled up with one another. Daniel Thompson able to get away with it as the white flag flies. And I think these guys may have settled themselves through. There you can see our leader, the number 1 in P1, Christian Challoner. I'm not sure if he's taking it easy. That gap has gone from 2 seconds down to about 1.5 between himself and Blixt.
It's not over for Eric Blixt. He sees victory right in front of him.
And I think a pigeon has landed on your antenna there, Sean. You'll have to go and shoo him away.
No.
And Blixt extends it back up to 2 seconds, so I guess, or Challoner extends it up to 2 seconds, so I guess Blixt maybe not as strong through the first part of the course. So, as we come with only half a lap to go, we thought that maybe Blixt could finally get this one on pure pace, but Challoner demoralizing Eric Blixt by just streaking away once he is able to make the pass. And this, we can stay on this because I'm not seeing any other extremely close battles at the moment. So we'll try and follow Challoner all the way to the line. He's only got a few more corners to go through Bishop. Braking for Jean Dambien. Gets it nice and tucked in, nice and smooth through that corner in the number 1. Swings it wide. Now through Le Mans. And down the Ullman Straight and is extended once more. It is now 2.5 seconds between first and second position. Comes up to the braking for Sunset Bend. One final corner to go for the number 1 car. He's able to navigate those bumps easily, and as he comes out of the corner, coming to the line, it is going to be Christian Challenger once again for the win here in round 8 of the iAnalyze Racing neoTransAm Series. Blixt comes home in second, very solidly ahead of Martin Capal, who rounds out our podium. Looks like we can take some time to look at that 6th place battle. Daniel Thompson currently in the lead of these guys. Somehow he's gotten around Clifton Cockrell while we weren't watching. And he's got a second over Cockrell right now as they come around the corner, but he's too hot into it. And Thompson is into the barrier, handing it over to Clifton Cockrell in the final corner. Give P6 to Clifton.
I'm going to try, but it just misses braking zone there altogether, Joe.
And Thompson is able to come away just ahead of Kammertz at the line. Let's look at that replay of Thompson. Oh my goodness. And Thompson gets on the radio saying he choked. That has got to be frustrating. Too hot into the corner. He knows it's coming. Tries to get it turned and noses it very hard. In fact, his car bounces back and hits it so hard on those tires.
You know,
well, with that, we are going to go to quick break. We're going to try and get all the birds off of Sean's antenna, see if we can get him working. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Christian Challenger drifting in celebration and swings it into the barriers for good measure. Stick around because on screen we're going to have all the upcoming races here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Don't go away.
Fuel usage.
Averaging 0.10 gallons per lap.
Pit stop, add 5 gallons. Change right side only.
Hitbox in 10, 9, 8, 1. Bingo. 10-4, adding 5 gallons. Changing right side tires.
Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway. We just watched round 8 of the iAnalyze Racing neoTransAm series. This round, of course, brought to you by Night Fox Designs. Our winner today was Christian Challoner. He had to fight for it because Eric Blixt led most of the laps, but one mistake was all it took, and Christian pounced. Didn't look back from there. Martin Capal rounds out our podium. He was all by himself. He had some good battles, though, throughout the race. Unfortunately, connection issues robbed him of it going to the line. Mika Esshausen, 4th, came back from a bad start. David Barraclaw, top 5 finish for David. Nicely done. Clifton Cockrell came home in 6th position. Daniel Thompson finished in 7th, followed by Sven Kammertz, who couldn't quite nip him across the line. He finished 8th. Bram Reniers, I guess I've been pronouncing that wrong all race. I just saw it. Finished in 9th. Ben Burnett finished in 10th. Then, just outside the top 10, in 11th, it was James King. Remember, he took tires late. Scott Johnson, he finished in 12th with Dustin Wardlow, another driver who took tires, finishing 13th. Doug Wyatt came home in 14th, followed by Josh Mertz in 15th. Justin Krutoff, 2 laps down in 16th. He had connection problems and lost laps there, which was sad to see. John Medeiros fortunately had hardware issues. He was 3 laps down. He was in 17th. Carl Jansen in 18th. And Justin Sullivan didn't even complete a lap. He finished in 19th. He finished 7 laps before he wrecked out. He finished in 19th. So let's go to our interviews. First up, why don't we, let's see, do we have all of our podium? Is Capal in here? Yes, he is. Let's start with our 3rd place finisher then. Martin Capal. Talk to him about that battle with Justin Krutoff. Martin, first of all, nice podium. After Justin disappeared, were you all worried that he would come back right in front of you?
Oh, yes. It was quite worrying. I was actually first worried that it was me timing out, but turned out it was him in the end. It was a great shame. I mean, I was right on his back all the time, and yeah, it's a shame he timed out.
Talk to us about the start of the race. We saw you and Christian Challoner go side by side, but Challoner was able to rebuff you around the outside. Did you think you had a chance to sneak in a second ahead of him?
Yeah, I was hoping for that. In turn 1 actually, but I was too cautious in turn 1 and didn't have enough speed on the exit, and he just had the run and slotted in second.
This track is known for its bumps. How do you feel about driving an entire 17 laps around here? Did you enjoy it, or are you glad to be done with it?
I'm definitely glad that it's done, because when I was practicing, it was terrible. And even though we didn't have any cautions in the end, which was good, so everything went pretty quickly. So I'm glad it's over.
I don't blame you. I don't particularly enjoy this track in most cars either myself. Well, again, congratulations, Martin, on the 3rd place, and look forward to seeing you next round.
Yeah, see you in Miami. Thanks.
That was our 3rd place finisher, Martin Capal. Let's go to 2nd place. That was Eric Blixt, who I'm sure might be a bit miffed at losing out on the win after a single mistake has cost him. Eric, talk to us. Did you think that you had about equal pace, or did you know that Christian was faster than you?
Well, I didn't know really, but after qualifying, like in the end of the practice, I got the pace up really good. But the tires just started to wear down in the front, so I had a really hard time hanging on to it. So I was almost waiting for Christian to pull a move.
Tell us about that mistake into Sunset that cost you the lead. What happened from your point of view?
Yeah, I think it just went in too hard for what the tires. I had 2 bad tires to go in that hard, and it just slid out a bit wide. Tried to keep it in, but I couldn't keep him behind it.
So with you leading most of the race, but unfortunately not coming away with the win, do you take this race as demoralizing, not being able to beat Christian, or does this encourage you knowing that you could fend him off for that long?
Yeah, I'm not feeling too bad about losing the race. Like, the practice didn't feel that good really, so I'm pleased that we finished in 2nd. So.
Well, I guess you can't complain about getting another podium, and it is still going to keep you at least somewhat in touch in the championship. I assume we're going to see you at Homestead?
Absolutely. I'll be there racing.
All right. That was Eric Blick's second place finisher here today in round 8 of the iAnalyze neoTransAm series. Now let's talk to our winner, Christian Challoner. Bring him in. Boy, he had to fight for it once again. We've seen him do it before coming through the field, but today it was slightly different. Christian, it turns out, for at least from our perspective, you looked like you were just being patient until you got an opportunity. Is that the case?
Not at all, really. I was really fighting to get to him, and a couple of times I made some pretty significant mistakes. Like I got a big slowdown on one lap, which nearly dropped me back to Martin, and he nearly had a run on me. No, Eric was really, really fast. Like I said to him in the session, his pole lap was pretty exceptional. I really don't think I could have touched that. And in the race, it was really, really fast. I think if he hadn't made that mistake, I was gonna really struggle to get by him. He just had amazing speed.
He certainly looked very strong today, made you work for it. Quick side question for you. Where are you from exactly? Because I saw that you're in the UK and I Club, but I didn't want to call you an Englishman and make a terrible mistake.
No, I am English. No, but yeah,
All right.
You're right on that. Yeah, if you call people from Wales English, they'll be upset.
Yeah, I tried to hold off there. So, all right, now I know I can call you an Englishman. So, next up is Homestead. How do you fare around a roval like that? It really doesn't show up on many calendars.
It's an interesting track, the Homestead road course. I quite like it actually. I know a lot of people don't, and I think some of the transitions both on and off the banking are quite tricky. I know the breaking down into one is really, really tough. And the transition back on at the end of the lap is quite difficult. Hopefully it should be easier than here, because I found the braking here was really, really tough, especially with the concrete corners. That was where a lot of our issues were coming from. Really was just the braking performance. So hopefully it should kind of go back in my favor when we get to Homestead, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Eric's definitely been giving you a run for your money on this championship. Again, congratulations on the win. You gave us a fantastic battle.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's a shame Sven couldn't have been up there with me, but he just missed the registration. But I think he had as good a run as he really could have done from the back.
Absolutely. He wound up coming home in 8th, just missed out on 7th right at the line. That was our winner, Christian Challoner, who came home today looking like he might just take this championship home, but it's not over yet. We got one more driver we want to talk to real quick. 4th place driver, Mika Eshouse. Ask him a couple quick questions, then we got to close up today. Mika, it looked like you dropped back a bit on the start. Were you struggling?
Well, I've been struggling the whole week, to be honest with you. Haven't really been able to get the car to feel like I wanted to. Been having a lot of issues on the braking. But yeah, I was just going to try and stick it out and see where I ended up. But then...
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, because I think I know what you're going to ask about.
Okay. Well, no, what I was going to ask about was... what was your philosophy on setting up the car? Because I have to imagine trying to make the car too tight would just make it terrible over the bumps here.
Yeah, I tried to play around with the anti-robot, make it a little bit stiffer, but I didn't really like it too much on the steer, so I just end up going back to what I used last round. So.
Well, this season, it doesn't seem like you've been able to be the main competitor for Christian as well as in the past. Do you think the next season maybe you can come back and give both Eric and Christian something?
I don't know. The competition has definitely come up a bit, but I don't know. I've been struggling a little bit with this car. The last few rounds has been going all right. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just didn't click, I guess. And then the spin didn't help either. I just touched the curb and lifted out of throttle and the car just went the other way, so it's a shame. I think I could have gone third if I hadn't had that.
Yeah, we just saw it on the screen, actually, unfortunately. Sorry about that. But, yeah, those curbs can be very nasty around this circuit. But, that's one good thing I like about is the old school curbs that aren't completely flat and you got to watch out for. Commiserations. Sounds like you wanted a podium for that number 237. Hopefully we'll see you at the next round.
Yeah, hopefully I can drag out one more podium before the end of the season.
All right, that was Mika Eshouse, 4th place driver. We're going to wrap up today. Of course, we want to thank a few people. Thanks to our official sponsors, iAnalyze Racing and Night Fox Designs. Of course, a special thanks to Stephen Burbage and Nass Hendry, the organizers and marshals behind the scenes. We didn't get to really have a lot of interaction with them during the race today because, well, they had no caution, so we didn't really need much feedback. They didn't have any penalties to hand out, so it was a rather quiet day for them. Thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcast. You can see those listed on your screen. Additional thanks to our musical contributors, Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde. Check out the screen to find out how to find their music on the internet. You can definitely purchase, and we encourage you to go purchase their music. It's great stuff. In fact, Casey Lalonde has a Patreon now, if you're familiar with Patreon, where he uploads work in progress of songs that he is creating. Thanks to the team today, Amjad, poor Sean, who unfortunately is still trying to chase those birds off of his antenna. And of course to Dougie, our camera guru. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. If you like talking to various broadcasters and getting some behind-the-scenes scoops, getting opinions, or just telling them how you feel about the races, definitely interact with us. We love hearing your questions, your thoughts, and just leave us comments on our Facebook page or tweet us at our channel. Next race, we mentioned, it's at Homestead, a Roval. Not a lot of courses go to places like that, but I can say from experience, I love racing this layout at Homestead, Miami. It's a lot of fun. This will kick off at November 6th at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series on your screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.